Hey guys, I'm back with another PvP tips video, and it has been an entire year since my very first PvP guide for Sea of Thieves. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching all of my videos and allowing me to do this as a full-time job. So I thought to celebrate, I will do one giant comprehensive guide in as little time as possible. So here we go. Okay, first things first is which mode should you play, adventure or arena mode? Arena is more of a structured type of PvP that is kind of like capture the flag. It is no longer supported by the devs and has pretty long wait time, so you might want to play adventure instead. And yes, you can play adventure mode solo, and while it is the hardest way to play the game, it is also the quickest way to get better. Okay, once you're actually in game, you want to go into your graphics settings and make sure your FOV is maxed out at 90. And if you're on controller, you want to put your sensitivity as high as you're comfortable with. And I've been told by controller players that you want to rebind jump to RB and your food to A. As far as general Sea of Thieves tips go, just know that anyone can sink you at any time for any reason, so you shouldn't be salty about it. Your loot is not actually yours until you've successfully turned it in. And if you play Sea of Thieves without caring too much about loot, you'll have way more fun. You can always go make more treasure. It's a game about cosmetics anyway. When you're in a fight with other people, make sure you keep moving. Do not stand still. That's the easiest way to get hit. And also be sure that you're always at full health. If you're going to run from another ship, make sure you fight while running. Jump off your ship, board them, try and keg them, etc. Okay, let's talk weapons. I think the best starting loadout for a new player is probably the sword and pistol. However, once you've got some experience, you should just use what you're most comfortable with. So the sword is great for mobility and is easy to use, hard to master. The pistol is a great all-around weapon, especially if you get knocked off your boat, you can still defend yourself underwater. The blunderbuss is great for defending the deck of your ship, but if you get knocked in the water, you're kind of out of luck. And the sniper is great for mid to long range combat, and it can be used at close range with quick scopes and is often used to double gun. More specifically about the sword, if you hold right click or left trigger, you can block incoming sword attacks. Just make sure you aim directly at them. Whenever you're doing a lunge, make sure you block first. That way you get extra movement speed. You can actually do what's called a lunge jump, where you hold your block, activate the lunge, and right after it activates, you jump, sending you flying, and you can do this into water for extra speed. If you jump in any direction while blocking, you'll do what's called a sword hop. This is great for keeping your movement unpredictable and dodging enemy shots. You can also sword hop directly through another player and then turn around and start attacking their back. In addition to that, you want to be spinning around or jumping over an opponent while you're continuously attacking them with your sword, making it more difficult for them to block. You can also do a really good move that's called a turn and burn, where if you start running and get an enemy player to chase you, you can jump, spin around, and charge a lunge for some easy surprise damage. Now onto throwables. Firebombs are not actually as useful as you think. Any decent crew can put out fires very quickly, but they can be good on immobilized ships to cause chaos or ignite kegs. Blunderbombs are actually great. They are very useful as a ranged weapon if you're out of ammo, especially in water, and you should definitely use them to follow up a chain shot to make sure an enemy crew doesn't catch their mast as it's falling. Before leaving an outpost, you want to make sure to get as many supplies as possible, and you can buy these directly from the merchant, which I would highly recommend. However, you want to be sure to loot the island first, and you need to keep an eye out for chain shots, curse balls, and high tier fruit. The tiers of fruit going from best to worst is pineapple, mango, pomegranate, coconut, and banana. Now for some quick ship tips, never ever anchor, otherwise you'll be a sitting duck. If you need to park, just roll up your sails until you slowly come to a stop. Be sure to listen for holes or fire on your boat because you want to take care of those unless you're in a fight with another player, in which case you probably want to wait to repair until you don't have an angle on the enemy ship. And if you hear this sound, that is the death groan of your ship, so you should stop what you're doing immediately and start repairing. For optimum sail management on the galley and the brig, you want to always try and catch the wind as best you can, unless you're going into a headwind. On all three ships, if you're going into a headwind, meaning the wind is going directly at you and your flag is facing your wheel, you want to keep your sails perfectly forward. It does make sense, that's just how it works. And on the sloop, if you can't catch full billow, keep your sails forward at all times for maximum speed. Let's talk chain shots. They will break your mast, wheel, or capstan, and when aiming them, you want to be sure to aim a little bit higher than you would a normal cannonball. If you see one coming your way, you want to be sure to straighten your wheel first. That way you won't spin into a broadside. Lift it up, go put one board on it, and then go back to your sail, drop it, and then finish repairing once you get moving. Okay, cursed cannonballs. They're a special type of cannonball that will apply a status effect to either a ship or a player, purple being ship, green being players. The ones you want to look out for are anchor balls, which will drop an enemy's anchor, stun balls like weary or jig balls, which will stun an enemy and prevent them from shooting back at you or catching a falling mast, ballast or limp balls, which are specifically great for taking down galleons, a rigging ball, which will prevent enemies from escaping or catching a fallen mast, and peace balls, which are great for preventing enemies from shooting back at you if you get caught in their broadside. Moving on to naval combat, you want to be sure to immobilize your enemy, make some holes, and then board them and protect those holes. You want to be sure to spawn camp them until sunk. It's not toxic. That's just how the game works. When shooting an enemy ship, you want to be sure to aim at the lower decks to make sure they take on water. To fine-tune your aim, you want to look to see where each shot lands and use that to line up your next shot. You'll know you're getting hit successfully when you hear a musical cue. If you hear a noise that sounds like a sandbag and you hear the death music, that means you one-balled someone. You hit them in the face with a cannonball. If an enemy ship is shooting at you with their cannons, you can try and shoot your cannonballs at their cannon line to try and kill them and prevent that. So ship positioning, you want to avoid an enemy's broadside at all time. You want to have your cannons aimed at them without them being able to aim back at you. If you have a ship immobilized, you want to do what's called a death spiral, where you raise your sails up a bit and continually adjust your wheel to spin around them in a perfect circle while you sink them. Don't ram. Ram strat is not actually best strat. It is usually not worth it and will create too many holes in your boat. If you're fighting a much bigger ship, you want to be sure to keep your distance, immobilize them, get some holes, board them, and try and sink them that way. Now, I mentioned boarding. Boarding is an essential part of naval combat in Sea of Thieves. Whenever you're shooting yourself out of your cannon to an enemy ship, you have to aim a little bit higher than you would a normal cannonball, kind of like a chain shot, and it makes a very distinct noise. You want to listen to that noise, because if you hear that, someone might actually be trying to board you. But when you get to an enemy ladder and they're ladder guarding, you want to do what I call a ladder drop, where you just grab and let go of the ladder repeatedly until they hopefully miss a shot, allowing you to board. Now, once on board, you probably want to anchor them unless they're near a fort or something you can ram them into, in which case you want to take over their wheel and try and do that. Like I said, you want to be sure to watch out for people trying to actually board your ship, especially if you're chasing another boat directly behind them. They'll probably try and board you. You can listen for their mermaid, which sounds like this, which means they're probably about to board you. But more importantly, you need to listen to the splash sound that it makes when someone grabs your ladder, and that sounds like this. As far as stealth goes, I'm sure you've seen people do what's called tucking, where you hide on an enemy ship while they do a quest, and then you can try and steal it. And to do this, you need to go to the Pirate Emporium, which is located above the Order of Souls. Go in there and go to the Pirate tab, and then you want to find a pack called the Hide and Sneak Bundle. And in there is a free emote called Hide, and you want to purchase that. This free emote will actually hide your character and your nameplate, so you can go hide on enemy ships and try and get into some shenanigans. Okay, we have to talk about kegs. I know you probably think you're a god because you blow up newer players all the time with kegs, but do not keep kegs on your ship. Any decent crew will see them and blow them up immediately. It is absolutely not worth it. If an enemy tries to board your ship with a keg, just be calm, let it happen. Once it explodes, just start repairing immediately. Emissaries are the most misunderstood mechanic by newer players in Sea of Thieves. What it is, if you put up an emissary flag for a faction, you get increased rep and gold with that faction when turning in loot, but it makes you a target. It is a risk versus reward system, because once the Reaper's Bones emissary hits rank 5, it can see all other emissaries in the map, so it makes you a target. So don't put this up if you don't want PvP. Speaking of Reaper emissaries, these show up on the map at all times, so if you want to avoid PvP, be sure to check your map and avoid them. You can actually see how many emissaries are on a given server by joining the server and then going around to the emissary tables, and on the tables will be a little toy boat which represents one crew flying that flag. So this is a great way to hop servers and check server activity to try and find a populated server if you're looking for PvP. Also, just want to mention very quickly, a mistake newer players make all the time is they put up the Reaper's Mark flag because they think it looks cool, when actually it marks you on the map for PvP. So if you want to avoid PvP, do not do this. Okay, that's it for me today. Oh god, I'm running out of time. I have exclusive in-game items I give away every Wednesday, and occasionally I have Twitch drops on my stream at twitch.tv/blurbs, where I stream every weekday and most weekends. We also have an amazing Discord community, which is very helpful. Join it, and I gotta go. Bye.